Hello everyone, my name's Steve. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is February 8th, 2025. And it's finally happening. It's finally happening. Not that Bitcoin is breaking out, although it is, but altcoins are finally starting to recover in a major way. This is going to be the main topic of this episode. Obviously, we're going to get into Bitcoin. We're going to see what it's doing on the smaller and larger time frames, but it's going to be about altcoins and altcoin recoveries. If that interests you, then watch until the very end. Let's get started. Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame is doing what we said it was likely to do. Okay? We're in what is likely an ABC zigzag. It is one of three corrective patterns as we understand there to be in Elliott wave analysis, right? You have flat corrections, you have zigzag corrections, this is a zigzag, and you have triangles, okay? What is a zigzag? A zigzag is an ABC correction where the A wave is an impulsive wave to the, up or down, and then the B wave is a retracement between 0.5 to 0.618 Fibonacci retracements of the A wave. The C wave is then an extension of A in the same direction, 1 to 1,236 standard deviations of A. Okay, so this is what we're in. This is what we're likely doing. Okay, and if you take your Fibonacci retracement tool, you can see that the B wave has done exactly what we expected it to do, which is hold the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level, right? Because the B wave has to come in this area and no lower, right? It can't come any higher than the 0.5. It can't come any lower than the 0.618. That's exactly where you found it. So I really like zigzags because unlike flats, they're easier to trade and they're more predictable. And again, because you know that is going to be your ultimate support, if it's indeed a zigzag, you're going to end up getting your C wave. You have confirmation from A wave, B wave gives further confirmation. So this is a nice trade on the way up. Not in this particular case, but generally speaking, zigzags are nice to trade because you're getting that C wave after the B wave finishes and you know where to hide your stops in the B wave, right? That being said, Bitcoin is still bearish on the higher time frame because we're under that 80-day parabolic resistance that I've been talking about for quite some time. As you can see here, this parabola represents 80 days worth of price action, 80 plus days actually at this point. And that is resistance, and it's been resistance for Bitcoin multiple times. The next time we hit it is, if we do hit it soon, should be around $110,000 per Bitcoin. And that should prove to be resistance once again. Remember, this is not only resistance for Bitcoin, but also this 40 plus day resistance representing the top of this channel is resistance. You also have this 80 plus day resistance of the bottom of this channel that we broke down from at this point, the midline of this channel, which is now resistance because we're below it. The ultimate resistance in this scenario is the resistance of the channel that we broke down from. So Bitcoin's under massive resistance, higher time frame, extremely bearish. The higher the likely target to the upside is between 108 110, and then you're looking at a larger breakdown, right? And again, like we've been saying for months, Bitcoin is very likely targeting the 65 to 70k region, right? And once that happens, our bull market starts, and it is going to be a bull market. I'm excited to start talking about that, and not necessarily the impending breakdown, but about bullish targets and how bullish Bitcoin is and how bullish crypto is. But you will get a taste of how bullish this cryptocurrency market is in the coming days via the altcoin space. And this is really what I want to talk about today. Not necessarily Bitcoin going up 10, 11, 12% to its target. I want to talk about what altcoins are doing. Okay, first let's look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. Okay, remember, and it is it's a legitimate question. People say, hey Dean, you know, Bitcoin's only going 10, 11, 12%, right? I see your analysis on, you know, R being in an ABC zigzag, and it makes sense to me, fine. But your whole thing about altcoins going, you know, 5, 6x, 10x, 15, 20, like, that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense to me. I agree. It's hard to see. And it's not something you see every day. You literally see it once in a blue moon. Okay? That's not something you see every day, so it doesn't make sense to most, and it shouldn't, because it breaks the brain. And this is actually what makes our space so attractive when these types of things happen. Not necessarily the, you know, the scam pumps here and there, and the you know, trendy memes here and there pumping and then dumping. Yeah, that's interesting. But what's really fascinating about our space, why so many people think about, oh, well, you know what, maybe I want to invest in crypto besides Bitcoin, is when this thing that is about to happen happens. When altcoins start going crazy across the board, not necessarily some small group, some small theme of altcoins, but across the board, and that's what you're about to see. Look at this Bitcoin dominance chart. Okay, two ways to look at this. One, as an Elliottician, I can't not look at it this way, okay? My eye sees an impulse. From November of 22, I see a strong impulse up, okay? And that strong impulse up is ending in what we call an ending diagonal. So the end of an impulse, when it chops up like this and typically forms a kind of knife, you know, kind of triangular pattern, that's what we call an ending diagonal in Elliott wave analysis. And this particular ending diagonal looks like it's extended. It's part of an extended wave 5. And you can see, look, this, if this is wave 1, wave 2, right? These are relatively concerted vis-a-vis this. So this is looks like an ending wave 5 or an ending diagonal on an extended wave 5. Very particular case, you know, it's in Prechter and Frost, the, you know, the most comprehensive manual for Elliott wave theory. And in that, they've stated that in an ending diagonal that's extended, your initial break typically targets wave 2, wave 2 right here of the extension. Okay, and that's wave 2 of the extension, because I'm looking at it as something like this. Wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 3, wave 4, and then the extension. All right, so in any case, that is pretty arcane way to look at this, but that's how my brain works given my training. Nevertheless, I like simple. I like to revert to the simplest way of analysis when possible. So another way my brain likes to look at it is, hey, look, this is a pattern, and this is what we call in pattern analysis a rising wedge. And these patterns typically break. We've seen it before on this channel. I've made reference to this. These rising wedges typically break down about 3/4 of the time, right? 70 to 75, 80% of the time in certain contexts. And the target is typically the base of the ending diagonal. So this is what we have here. A rising wedge. And this is the initial break, breaking the structure of the rising wedge. This is the counter. And this would be the final third leg of this corrective pattern. So essentially, again, you know, as an Elliottician, I can't unsee this right here that I'm going to draw in, but you're essentially looking at an ABC flat correction, right? This was your initial break of structure right here, right? You break the structure of the rising wedge or the rising wedge or the ending diagonal, your B wave, and now you're going to get a C wave. And again, my target for Bitcoin dominance, given what I just showed you and told you, is going to be around 49%. That's where I'm taking profit on my altcoins. But that is a sizable move down, if indeed true, okay? And again, you can ascertain that target in a number of different ways. It's the previous resistance of all of this drama right here. It was temporarily support for our rising wedge, and it's obviously the base of that rising wedge. So it's going to likely be the target for the breakdown of the rising wedge if that plays out. And on a small time frame, if we look at Bitcoin dominance, right? And remember, some people lose sight of this. Bitcoin dominance isn't some random indicator that shows you what's going to happen. It's indicative, it's reflexive of what is happening in the market. So if altcoins start really running and Bitcoin's kind of hanging out, going slowly, then this Bitcoin dominance chart is going to reflect that, and it's going to dump as a result, okay? So just remember, that's how it works. It's just showing you what's happening in the altcoin space. It doesn't make altcoins do anything. So I'm looking at it on the smaller time frames as what I just said. You're in your C wave. So all of this is likely to break down on the 4-hourly time frame, the daily time frame. I think it also breaks down our stochastic RSI momentum indicators at the top. It has to reset to the bottom. I think that comes with a move to the downside in the Bitcoin dominance chart, and that pretty much cements or confirms our read on the market of altcoins gaining against Bitcoin in a short time frame, right? And this is the altcoin recovery that we speak of. When we say recovery, what do we mean specifically? I'm gonna tell you exactly what I mean by that. All right. To explain what I mean by altcoin recovery, we have to look at Bitcoin. Look at what Bitcoin has done in the past 2 years. And this is typical. This is customary. This is something we see a lot. After the halving event, Bitcoin tends to go up and to the right because algorithmically, the supply is reduced. The demand stays the same or is increased, so it goes up and to the right. This is exactly what happened. All the while, it's still under massive resistance. So it's chopping up. Past 2 years, that's been the story. Now, in the altcoin space, by and large, right, altcoins haven't been doing much of anything. By and large, in the altcoin space, while Bitcoin was chopping up from its lows, altcoins more or less have been either stagnant, sideways, some have been going down, right? So basically in the past 2 years, and this you can see on the Bitcoin dominance chart, Bitcoin has been gaining against altcoins, actually for longer, but especially in the past 2 years. And now altcoins have to catch up. They're not going to use 2 years worth of time to catch up. They may use 2 days, 2 weeks. This is the crazy thing that really breaks the brain when we project targets, time frames in crypto. How is that possible? How can Bitcoin going from 16K all the way to 100K, doing a 6x, how can that be caught up by altcoins in the span of a weekend, in the span of a week? How is that even possible? As a financial advisor, as a portfolio consultant, when you're speaking with your client, You're like, oh yeah, so I'm gonna say go into altcoins right now because they're about to do something that Bitcoin took 2 years to do in a week, 2 days, 5 days, whatever. Very likely, given my analysis. How does that make any sense? It doesn't. But that's why everybody comes to this space, because crazy stuff like that happens from time to time. Not every day, but from time to time, right? And it's called alt season. And the gains are immense. And if you're wasting your time with market cap calculations, which are typically arithmetic, typically linear, whilst this asset class moves parabolically, exponentially, you will miss the gains. Crypto tends to go much higher than people think and much lower than people think. This is why all of my charts are on the logarithmic scale, because unless I'm doing intraday analysis on the hourly time frame, my charts break when I take the logarithmic scale off. It doesn't make any sense. So get ready for some exponential price action that is hard for your brain to wrap itself around. Let's use Ethereum as an example, okay? So Ethereum, just like I said, for the past 2 years, right, and this is actually a little more than 2 years, this channel right here, this green channel that you see, is about 1,000 days of price action. It's been pretty much sideways. People are mad at Ethereum. If you go on social media, they're saying it's a shit coin and blah, 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 blah. Very quickly, it can not just bounce off the bottom of this channel, but break the channel. Okay? And we know, based off of our understanding of channel trading, if it does indeed break the channel from the bottom, the next move is a retest of the midline, because the midline has to be retested before leaving the gravity of the channel. Okay? The other thing I want to point out and really make clear is this. For those of you who are bearish and don't understand what we're looking at, this capitulative move, a capitulation is like a final move in a corrective sequence, okay? So you have A, B, C, flat correction, we always talk about, W, X, Y, complex flat correction, or W, X, Y, X, Z, right? 333. That last letter is your impulsive move, right? You always end corrective patterns with impulsive moves. That is what we call the capitulative move. It ends the correction. It's swift. It's quick, right? So this is that capitulative move. It brought Ethereum all the way from these tops around 3,000 it was, all the way down here to 2,000, okay? And what's important is, and what you should really realize if you're looking at this honestly, is this happened like 5 days ago, and the candle is still a bullish hammer candle. Unless you're going to continue the trend that is indicated by a bullish hammer candle, which is indication of an oncoming bullish trend, you don't stay a hammer candle for 5 days. This is on the weekly time frame, so it's quite significant. It's not an intraday 5-minute chart. This is the weekly time frame. You hit that liquidity, the buyer stepped in, and they're not going anywhere. They're still buying. That's exactly what that's telling you, right? Typically, in the bear market or in a non-bullish market, what you see is you may be, effectuate a bullish hammer candle in the first hour, 2, 3, 4 hours, but eventually you come and fill in the wick, and you fill in the wick, and you fill in the wick. You basically do a consolidation, okay? And then you may break out. But this denotes a particularly bullish trend whereby you're not even bothering to fill in the wick because there's too much buying pressure. So my next target for Ethereum is quite logically going to be at the next logical resistance, okay? Next logical resistance is up here, right? At this, let's see, It is a 2600-day resistance. Okay, it was resistance for the first time up here in January of 18, and then again in in May of 21, and then again for final time in November of 21. So I've got 3 touch points for this resistance line. What likely happens is Ethereum not only meets this resistance but wicks above it ever so slightly, and I'm going to tell you why. So this move in altcoins is likely to go higher than people think and then come lower than people think. This is consistent with what we see in crypto. There's so much moves, there's so much volatility, and people get caught in it. People are going to make a lot in the coming days, and they're going to give most of all of it back. You always see it. Okay? So, moving from the bottom of this 1,000-day channel, Ethereum is likely to come back to this midline, just like we said, because midline retests are necessary before leaving the bounds or the gravity of a channel. Okay? If that move happens in a 786 retest, and I believe it's going to be a 786 retest, not a zigzag, and I explained that in the last video, so I'm not going to rehash this, the minimum retracement for a flat correction is the 786 Fibonacci retracement level, which means the minimum target for Ethereum is around 16.8. Okay? From where we're at right now, Ethereum moving to 16.8 is a 550% move. That's like a 6x. Yeah? Because 100% is a 2x. So a 500% move is a 6x. 550% move is a 6.5x. 6.5x. Bitcoin took 2 years to do that. Watch Ethereum do this in a few days. This is the craziness of our market that people can't understand because it doesn't happen every day. It's understandable that it's hard to understand, but that's how special this time is in our market. And it's hard to, predict exactly when these things are going to happen, but when it comes, it's quite clear in the charts. But it's quite literally taken 1,000 days of accumulation, 1,000 days of consolidation for this move to play out. What happens after this move? We come back, retest the midline, 786 retest, come right back down to about 3,000. People are going to think the bull market's over, but after that consolidation, we go much, 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 much higher. First move being coming up, retesting the top of this 1,000-day resistance as support, and then moving on, right? So this is what I'm seeing in the altcoin space. If Ethereum is going to put in a 6 to 6.5x, imagine what some of these lower market cap assets are going to do. I'm just going to leave you with that, okay? That is why I'm so excited about altcoins right now. That is why you should be really excited about altcoins right now, and not capitulating emotionally, thinking that it's all over. Do expect not only a green weekend for altcoins, but a green start of the week. We're going to do things in this space in the coming days that people don't know is even possible. But a lot of people have seen it historically. If you backtest, if you've seen the stories, people have made immense amounts of money in short periods of time in crypto due to these very volatile periods of time. They're short periods of time, but take advantage of it. I just gave you a target for Ethereum, but it's likely that the targets for whatever you're in are way too low. And this is kind of why when I was talking to my clients in crypto portfolio and mentorship consultation and giving them targets, they were like, wait, what? Yeah, these targets are insane, some of them. Yeah. So I don't know if there's much else to talk about. Like, we have a bunch of altcoins. You're seeing green now. Expect to see a little more green, or a lot more green, in the coming days as altcoins recover what they've pretty much been left out of for the past 2 years. Meanwhile, do expect Bitcoin to hit that modest target at 108, and yeah, it's just going to be an altcoin frenzy in the immediate short term. Guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful. Like, share, and subscribe. If you got value, consider tipping me via Litecoin, via via Litecoin, via Cash App, via Venmo, and consider my crypto portfolio and mentorship. Let me try that again. Consider my crypto portfolio consultation and mentorship service, where I go one-on-one with you for 1 to 2 hours and give you targets for up to 5 assets, entries and exits, and I explain the market and all kinds of things, and help you balance your portfolio and help you be successful in this bull market, because you need to kind of know what you're doing. Although a lot of things are gonna run, you need to know when to take profit, you need to know when to get in, you need to know when to be bullish, you need to know when to be bearish. So yeah, that's all from me, guys. I hope this was helpful. I'm really excited. I hope you're excited. I hope you make a lot of money in the coming days. And I'll see you next time.
In the days while the world spins without me, arrived at the fork in the road, could turn back, repeat the same story, or march forward and embrace change and reflect upon his glory. I'm a selfish man, therein lies the whole problem. Torn between my actions and the will of my heart. I had to take it all apart to see where I stood as a man, to depart from this world and leave it in his hands. Come on. Yeah.
Looks like I'm heading for the gold, y'all. Touring on a pothole road, y'all. I get it even if I didn't fit in, winning right up to the end, like I didn't even know, y'all. I have pop's genetics, working hard never to get it, like shit or better. Don't letting life get the best of my efforts. Instead I dedicated to bettering my steps, measuring investments, watch me do it to the death, y'all. Run it.